Hi everybody. So today's challenge is going to be something that happens every day around the house that you or your parents might be in charge of, and that is doing dishes and keeping your kitchen clean. So I'm going to go over some of the basics in order to keep everybody nice and healthy and to keep your household nice and organized. So first of all, you'll want to make sure that you have your sinks, one designated for wash, and you're going to make sure you fill it 2/3 of the way with hot soapy water. Now I already have about 1/3 filled right now, and I'm just going to put the size of about 1/4 worth of soap. So you take a look, it's spreading a bit, but it's like 1/4 worth of soap, of dish soap, into the water, so under the stream. Make sure that you've washed your hands before, and you can watch any of my other videos to see proper hand washing techniques. And you're going to fill this sink to 2/3 full. Then you'll already want to have a second sink designated for wash. That's just hot, or pardon me, rinse, and that's just going to be hot water. Okay, not so hot that it burns yourself, but really quite hot. So just make sure you aren't going to burn yourself with that. So here we go, I've got my water. This one's already filled. And what you want to do is make sure what you have handy is a dishcloth, so that's the small cloth, and a drying towel for this section. The drying towel is what we're going to dry our dishes with. So remember, the first things you want to clean are, number one, your sharp knives. So anything like a grater or a peeler, or I have 2 knives here that are sharp. So make sure my sleeves are nice and pulled up. I'm going to grab and wash the knife under the water with your dishcloth. I prefer dishcloths to actual scrubbing brushes, because brushes really do not get it as clean. So with a dishcloth, you are guaranteed to have every aspect of your utensil clean. So there we go. Next, what I'm looking for is whatever is the least dirty. So I've got some cups here, my kids' cups, and I can put those together. They're not sharp. I have this glass cup. Now when you're working with glass, make sure to be really, really careful when you're putting your hands in, that you have enough room to actually clean the glass. Or this would be a moment where I'd say, okay, you might want to use a brush initially, and then see if you can actually get any of the dishcloth in to clean that out and rinse underneath the water. And then you see how I went from my dish water to my rinse water, and then I just put it on my drying rack for after. My plastic cups, I'm not worried about them breaking, so I can be a bit more vigorous with them. With 1, 2, and I always put my dish rack so that the drainage holes go over the sink. So if any water is coming out and draining, it's just going to go straight into your sink. We've got that. Okay. Next, I'm going to do my bowls. And I can do some plates as well. You can also leave some of your cutlery at the bottom of the sink. That's totally fine. Just make sure if there's a knife, you wait till the end. So now I'm at a point where I have some plates. Make sure that you can use a little metal scrub if necessary if there's some caked on food. Or there's also some Scotch pads that are a type of fabric that has abrasion on it that allows you to get the food particles off. Just using that because I had some food from the microwave really baked on. And then each of the actual trays have spots for your plates to go. So you can quickly and thoroughly clean. And you'll notice I'm never really taking my dishcloth out of the water. I'm not trying to wash my dishes outside like this. That really isn't going to clean your dishes very well. You want to make sure that it's in the soapy water. And if you ever get to a point where your water's too dirty, drain it, add more water, add another 1/4 size worth of soap. Right, so when I'm saying 1/4 size, I'm really meaning like a Canadian quarter, like 25-cent a piece. Okay. So I also have some flexible cutting mats, and I often use, when I'm going to be washing these, I actually line the side of I use them to line the side of my dish rack. That way, if I have a pile of dishes, all my dishes won't go falling out. It becomes a nice border. So I rinse that. And so for example, here we go, I place like here. So it actually becomes this nice little border. Same thing over here. Here's my second one. So I'm gonna just nicely rinse that off, get any of the food particles out. Okay. What you're trying to do is make sure, with the dishes, is that I'm trying to get what is the least dirty to clean first. You always want to do knives and anything sharp before you start, or at the very end. Actually, it's fine to clean all the knives at the very end. Just don't put them in the soapy water because it's dangerous, as you might not see, and somebody might reach their hand in and hurt themselves. So you always want sharp stuff to be the first or the last thing that you clean. Now I have a 8x8 cake pan that I was making roast potatoes with. I'm going to give that a nice clean as well. And so you're trying to do the most dirtiest stuff you want to leave to the very, very end. You want to rinse it because you want to make sure any soap residue is not left on the dishes, because the next person who's using the dishes doesn't want to have suddenly they're having cereal and it tastes like soap because you didn't actually clean all the soap residue. And that's why we always rinse, and we rinse with hot water, right? So wash with hot water, rinse with hot water. I'm going to stop there. So that's the basics of doing any of the dishes. Any of the frying pans, you want to, frying pans or a sauce pot that's hot, you really want to let it cool down before you even attempt to clean it. I always say once you finish cooking at the stove, turn the oven off and then put the actual pan or sauce pot onto a completely different element so it can allow to cool. You don't want anybody to get burned. Okay, great job. The dishes are washed. Now what do you do? Well, you have two options. Number one, when you're drying the dishes, you can let them air dry. Air dry is actually the most hygienic way to dry dishes, but maybe your family doesn't want a whole bunch of dishes just sitting there all day. So the second option is the drying towel. Okay, so you're going to dry each item thoroughly so there's no moisture left on them and put them away. Okay, so that is the first bit, which is doing the dishes. Now, my next little section will be a quick demonstration on how to keep your kitchen nice and sanitized with regards to the counters and the sinks itself. Okay, so you've done an awesome job. You've cleaned the dishes, but then you look at your kitchen and you're like, oh my goodness, my countertops are absolutely dirty, and Miss B, what do I do to get those clean? So what I'm going to show you is the first step. So I always get like a rag. I had a towel that was stained, so I actually cut it up into many squares to use. So if you have that, ask your parents if it's okay, because it can be repurposed into an awesome rag. So my first step is I'm going to get that rag damp, so not soaking wet, I just wring it out. And if there's any food particles on my table first, I'm going to wipe those up into my hand, like so. I had a whole bunch of, my kids were having crackers. And then I've got a green bin for the compost. And I'm just going to do that to all the surfaces that I can visibly see the dirt on. Okay? So that is my first step. I get any food particles and remove those. Now I have an all-purpose spray that I use. Okay, so you could use so many different household sprays. You could use vinegar and water on a regular situation, but at this point I would use something like Fantastic or Mr. Clean. Just make sure that whatever material your counter is, ask your parents what's the spray they use to keep it clean, because you wouldn't want to damage the countertops. So now I'm going to spray quite liberally, and I can move my paper towel over. I'll actually just put it beside my sink here. Okay. I can even move underneath my dish rack, and I'll start there, just giving it a good clean. If you are allergic to any of the chemicals, please wear gloves, non-latex. Latex, a lot of people get allergies, have reactions to it, so you're going to clean really nice. And you're going to say, hey Miss B, how am I supposed to show you this project? Well, I want you to take pictures of your kitchen before and after. Same with the dishes before and after. And in my project, I expect you guys to do the dishes at least 2 times, preferably 3, and clean your kitchen, because right now it's a hard time for everybody, so anybody helping out is just so appreciative. I try to get my kids as well, that they help out, and I know it's really busy, but this is your assignment for me for this week if you choose it at this time. And you don't have to stop just this week. It could be your thing that you want to do to help fill your family's bucket, right? To help out. So we go here. Then what I'm going to do is same thing on this counter. I can spray that down, so quickly I'll just do there, clean that. If your oven is dirty, make sure it's really nice and cool before you even attempt to clean. Don't spray on the actual coils. You can spray like right into the cloth and then go around like this. And there's also some really great YouTube videos on quickly how to clean your oven, so I'm not going to go into detail on that. You can also just wipe down the surfaces right over here, and just making sure everything is nice and wiped down. Just like in home ec during a lab, I would like you to make sure that you actually spray out your sink and that you wipe your sink down as well, right? You don't want to have mold and mildew build up. So you want to have a nice sparkling clean sink, and that again can be shown in a picture, before and an after. And here we go. And remember always after to put your cloths and your dishcloth, your drying towel in the laundry to get clean. There we go. I can even wipe up here. There we go. And so now I have a really nice clean kitchen, which just is pretty awesome. So have a great day. I hope this was instructional. If you need any help, just let me know.